To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise. A promise of adventure. A promise of excitement. A promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into In Stores this week. I am Kyle. This person joining me right now is Dan.
Hola. How you doing, guys?
Apparently, a week out from getting his COVID vaccine, Dan is now fluent in Spanish.
Oh, far from fluent.
Well, all I know, literally this happened to me yesterday. I went to a restaurant, and I don't know enough Spanish to order at a Mexican restaurant, but I know enough Spanish to only speak about professional wrestling.
Yeah. I know enough to say El Blanco Diablo es aquí, which, you know.
I don't even know what that is.
The white devil is here. It always gets me in trouble.
All right, sure. All right.
Actually, I learned Spanish from watching the old Wildcats cartoon. There was a scene where a tornado wiped out a house, and this woman was running away, and she's yelling, El Diablo es aquí! And, yeah, that was...
Yeah, I only know enough Spanish to talk about professional wrestling. So, but let's get into the thing why we're here. First of all, as a reminder, every book we talk about is available in local comic shops. Visit Comic Shop Locator or our fun little link, bit.ly/comic locator right here. There it is.
Is that really that much shorter than just putting comicshoplocator.com?
It is only in as much as most of the time I spell locator wrong.
You used the word inevitable.
I know, I understand.
A few minutes ago, and you
I can say it, I can't spell it.
Oh.
There's a reason I'm a broadcaster and not a writer.
Ah, okay.
I know words. I can't spell any of them. So, but all the books we're about to talk about are in comic stores this week. So make sure you head into your local comic book shop tomorrow.
But by the way, Cal, you just played into one of the biggest myths. The fact that writers know how to spell, they don't. Editors know how to spell. Writers just know the big word. So you could absolutely be a writer.
No, I couldn't. Grammarly would scream at me and I'd get frustrated. All right. So we're going to start off. This is a weird week. Dan and I, once again, have several books on both of our lists. Because this is, for me, this is a really weird week. So let's start. I want to start with a book that's part of one of the longest ongoing series that I've been personally reading. That is The Old Guard, Tales Through Time from Image Comics. I know we don't normally start with Image. Normally we start with Marvel or DC. But you know what? Let's start with Image because The Old Guard.
It's a wild day. We can do what we want.
It is a wild... Dude, you have no idea how wild my day has been.
We're untethered. We have no parental supervision. We're good.
Right. No parental supervision at all. So, but this is a new thing. It's Greg Rucka with it's Andrew Wheeler and it's Leandro Fernandez on this one. The reason I'm into it, just throwing this out there, is that The Old Guard may have been one of the first anthology series that I hopped in on.
Okay.
When it first switched to anthology, only because I had read all the previous Rucka Old Guard.
And for you,
so when they changed the format, it fit for me.
For those of you not familiar with the series, but may have come across the movie on Netflix with Charlize Theron, this is what it comes from.
Yes.
So
this new book that's coming out, this is Tales Through Time #1, is another anthology in the Old Guard series. So you start off with Greg Rucka, but you also get Vita Ayala, Brian Michael Bendis, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Matt Fraction, David Walker, and more. And then you've got artists Leandro Fernandez, Horatio Altuna, Rick Burkett, Valentin Delandro, Justin Greenwood, Kano, Nicholas Scott, and more. Like, the thing is that this is going to be a long-going anthology. It's not like the Silver Coin a few weeks ago, where it's a 4-part anthology. You've got 4 different creative teams telling 4 different stories. This is they haven't announced exactly how many books it'll be, but just based on the names they listed, it's going to be about a half dozen or more.
looks that way, yeah.
So,
I mean, you're only getting, 2 stories in the first one? You're getting the Rucka and Fernandez, and then Wheeler and Cam.
Capo, yeah, I never know his last name, but I always know
Kamani?
Kamagani. I never know how to say his last name. This is, again, one of those things where Nick would be here and he'd put all kinds of accent on it.
Kamagani.
Right. But no, it's you get 2 stories per book. You're looking at a half dozen or more books in the Old Guard series. So my recommendation, watch the film. Because that's a comic book movie I like.
Wait, there is one? Wow.
There's one.
I'm surprised.
One.
But
it's because it's the Old Guard. It holds a special place in my heart. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So we started with Image. Should we continue with Image?
You lead. I'll follow. Go where you want to go.
All
do
right.
what you want to do.
Let me get my screen set up here the way I need it to be,
Right.
so that I can click the right things in the right order without my head exploding. Other books from Image this week, Image Skybound, I'll say, because there are a couple that, and these were on my list, if not on both of our lists. Ultra Mega #2, which, following the first Ultra Mega, rising out of the carnage of our debut issue, a new hero emerges to beat down the kaiju scum. Fliss fly and blood is spilled. Fight monsters, stand with humanity, stand with the Ultra Mega. Guys, this is the good parts of Godzilla versus Kong in the comic book.
You mean the parts without the humans?
The parts without talking. Now there are totally stories in here that are told. James Herron does a great job writing it, and Dave Stewart adds a ton of storytelling in his art. But the thing about this is that it's the parts you like from those movies. It's big things beating the hell out of each other. And that is really why we all show up for those movies. But I just go ahead, Dan.
Oh no, I don't. Nope, got nothing.
All right. Well, I also want to mention Stray Dogs #3 from Tony Fleece. Great so far.
Absolutely.
Serial killer story. But I thought, because we're going from Ultra Mega, we should transition into other kaiju type things. Godzilla Monster Protectors #1.
Yes. This has the feel of an all ages. I don't know if it's supposed to be all ages.
I think it is.
Yeah, but this definitely sounds like if your kid liked Godzilla versus King Kong or Kong, and you want to give them some comic to read, this sounds like the one you want. It's Eric Burnham and Dan Schoen doing the art. You got the write-up says a coldly single-minded businessman uses an untested element to create clean energy for profit, like you do. He inadvertently awakens the beast from the deep, Godzilla. Sensing the harm the new energy poses to the planet, Godzilla attacks the heart of the problem. Us, mankind. We're the problem.
Yep.
It'll be up to 3 intrepid middle school students with little magic help from Infant Island. Infant Island, I'm not familiar with.
Is that where Godzuki comes from?
Oh, I hope not.
I'll be honest, looking at the cover art on this one, part of the reason I'm super into it is the potential for that sort of all ages Godzilla storytelling. So as much as people want to rag on Godzuki and that original cartoon show, the reason I like Godzilla is that cartoon show.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching that show, I would have been terrified of the creature from the movies. It was a great, I don't know what the word is. It's a great introduction. It's a great way to pull you into the fandom.
Yeah.
And so I like that it's a little lighter than you've come to expect.
Oh, no.
I Godzilla.
Yeah, I get that. Though I look at the original movies and I was fine with them when I was a kid because it was a guy in a rubber suit. You know,
by the time I was a little kid, there were a little bit more advanced in the technical. You know, yep. I could watch the '80s Godzilla movies, and be a little more scared. But instead, I got the '70s cartoon, and now I'm a lifelong fan.
Yep, and I am for anything that gets kids reading comics. That gets anybody reading comics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, absolutely. The more people we bring in, the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, since we're with IDW now, did we have any other IDW books on the list?
I don't think I did. I kind of hit all the mid-range publishers looking for their number ones because I like bringing up books that people can jump in on. So I didn't.
I mean, I'll mention from IDW, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1/16, which is the Battle of the Bands with Jennika. If you've been following the Jennika story, she is maybe the breath of fresh air the Turtles have needed for a little while. So check that one out. And then Stan Sakai continues his "Let's just give the man every award on the planet" run on Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah, just brilliant.
Let's go. Let's head over to DC. Let's do some DC.
All right.
It's kind of a lighter week for DC in terms of release schedule.
It is, and none of the. I mean, again, I like to grab number one books. There's no new number ones from them.
Right.
So it's all stuff that you got to jump in on.
One new number one
from DC. What did I miss?
The hottest, most speculated book this week. Batman Fortnite.
Oh, yes. I didn't see that on the list, but I hear about it.
Well,
I hear they're massively underordered.
They are massively underordered because nobody knew what it was going to be. And I will say this as a pro and a con at the same time. It's about Fortnite skins is really what this is. This is DC throwing its hat in the ring into the popular gaming franchise Fortnite. And you expect that a lot of these characters are going to be released as skins. The story is solid, but the big draw, and this is what I'm seeing from my retailer friends, is that if you have a kid who wants to read comic books, who already plays Fortnite, and can't find a comic book to get him into, this is the book. This will be for a lot of young people these days. Their first comic, and that is fabulous. So yeah. I'm not gonna go into what it is. I didn't do any research on it. I haven't read it yet, but it is massively underordered. So if you can put your hands on a copy, especially for a young person, this is a great pickup. It's a great introduction to comics for the otherwise uninitiated.
Yeah, plus you're taking two of the biggest franchises out there. I mean, Batman is probably the number one recognized franchise in the world. the symbol. I mean, everybody knows Batman. And then Fortnite is probably one of the most popular games out there. Fortnite, Minecraft, it's probably an Animal Crossing. They're probably all right up there.
Among Us is up there now too. But yeah, I mean, there are a number of these games: Among Us, Fortnite, Animal Crossing, Minecraft.
Yeah, and I know it's popular because I don't get it, and I'm in that age group that don't get things now. So when they're popular, it's when I have no idea. I don't understand it.
Well, and I'll say this: for the most part, they're popular amongst a certain age group, right?
Yeah.
It's the guys my age are still Call of Duty, Madden, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But this is that next generation of gamers into these kind of things, and so Batman Fortnite is a great opportunity to introduce comics to someone who wouldn't otherwise be like, I'm going to read a comic book now. So there's that. All right. How about Justice League number 60?
Oh, yeah.
The return to the Justice League post Future Sight.
Yeah. Well, first thing, you got Green Arrow in this, and that's always going to get my attention. You got Superman, Batman, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Aquaman, and Hawkgirl joining forces with Black Adam. And, of course, Black Adam's been all over the news lately because of The Rock. They fight an all-new world to conquer, but how do they stop the unstoppable power known as Brutus? I can't ever take that name seriously. Just doesn't sound tough.
Well, so I'm an Ohio State fan, and our mascot is Brutus. And I have a friend whose dog is Brutus, and that dog is terrifying.
Your mascot is a poison nut.
Yes, but he's named Brutus.
Yes, he is, but he's also a poison
nut. He will totally shank you on the floor of the Roman Senate.
Wolverines.
It's a angry cat. Like, I don't understand. If a Wolverine eats a Buckeye, it will die.
Oh, yeah, but
see, I don't even like to play that game. Like, I'm one of those fans that I'm not gonna play that game. I like to go Roman Senate, Brutus Iscariot, boom, or Brutus. What's his last name? Brutus.
Et tu, Brute is all I can think of.
Yeah, he'll stab you on the floor of the Roman Senate. But also, I have a friend whose Chihuahua is named Brutus, and that Brutus will rip your face off.
Mm. Yeah, my grandparents had an
angry dog
named Brutus who was big, but yeah. Oh, there's a backup story with the Justice League Dark, which is also pulled together, and you got Etrigan the Demon, and they have no leader at this point, though. That's the problem, is that Batman's trying to figure out why Zatanna won't step up and lead. So, and you got something going on with Ragman, so...
A little insight into the backup stories. They're written by Ram V.
Who comes up a lot this week.
Yes, he has a very big week. But the thing about it is that they were looking for someone to write it. And this is when they weren't sure he was also going to be doing Swamp Thing. And also going to be doing Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
And also going to be doing, and also going to be doing, and also going to be doing.
Yes.
So he said he would do it. He would do the 10-page backup stories on the condition that basically he had no editor. He could do what he wanted and they couldn't tell him no. And DC was like, you okay? So at some point you have Etrigan sitting in Superman's chair. This is what happens when you let a great writer have freedom. You get things you never expected to happen.
I get the disrespect level there, but also, would Superman really care?
Oh, no. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's like Etrigan is like, all right, I'm going to run the Justice League now. You know what I mean? It's got nothing to do with disrespecting Superman necessarily. It's got everything to do with Etrigan wants power.
Yes. I love the character of Etrigan. Anytime he pops up, I'm happy to see him. So,
I do too.
Yeah.
I like the demonic characters in DC better than the demonic characters in Marvel.
I always wanted to see a team up between Etrigan and the Creeper. So that would be an amazing series.
That's a great teamwork. So, other DC books this week. We have We were talking about him because his chair has been defiled. We have the giant Boy Scout looking very Boy Scouty on this cover, I will say.
He does look Boy Scouty on that cover. This is Superman Red and Blue number 2. This is their version of the signature colors, doing the stories in just the 3 colors. Here, this one's because, Superman's colors are red and blue. In fact, he wears yellow. Nobody seems to want to mention this time, but he does have yellow in the chest. But anyway, and the belt.
This book is Robert Venditti, Chuck Brown, Stephanie Phillips, and Dan Panosian with Jason Howard, with art by Dan Panosian, Jason Howard, Dennis Cowan, and Aletha Martinez.
And it's not just stories about the normal Superman, the Clark Kent Superman. There's also a Val Zod Superman, the Superman of Earth 2. And there's a story about Cyborg Superman.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's these stories are great little anthologies featuring the character, featuring kind of real simple pared back art. This cover is a Nicholas Scott cover, which is why it's got that real kind of, all of her stuff has that sort of, you would see it in a museum feel. So I like that. But yeah, these are anthologies about Superman where these artists get to tell small Superman stories. You're looking at 5 writers, 48 pages. Pretty solid little lineup there. And then I also want to just point out that, Robert Venditti says that he is as a writer, he is what's the word I'm looking for? He says it in his own ads. He has to experience something to be able to write it.
Okay.
And I'm wondering how he got to experience being Superman. I'm going to ask him about that.
Good question.
Yeah. But you know what? Robert Venditti just had a book come out from Bad Idea called Tankers. That's phenomenal. You should totally pick it up. And this is issue 1 of this was really fun. I didn't think I would like it, but issue 1 was really fun. So
you're thinking that he doesn't know the experience of being Superman, but you're assuming that his story isn't the cyborg Superman was, and maybe Robert's a cyborg. I feel like I need to do that at least once a week, or every show. I need to, have that moment of just blowing Kyle's mind,
breaking my brain. We have another book from DC this week that we wanted to bring up, only because, and the reason I want to bring it up is because the dude on the cover is great, and he's in Legends of Tomorrow. That is John Constantine.
Yep, and I wanted to bring it up for a completely different reason. Because Ray Anthony Height is the artist on this, and I go back 30 years with Ray, a good friend, and I'm used to seeing him on the Marvel books, so I didn't know that he was jumping over here to DC to do Truth and Justice. So anytime, you got Papa Midnight, you got John Constantine, and you got Ray doing art, I'm in.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't even at that point. It's just like, oh, it's a Doug Braithwaite cover. Oh, and then it's Ray Anthony Height interiors, and it's Constantine, and it's just shut up and take my money.
Yeah, pretty much.
But speaking of just shut up and take my money, because we don't have to sell this that hard, right? Truth and Justice number 3. If you're already reading Truth and Justice, great. If you're not, jump in because they're all. Have you been reading it, Dan?
I have not. I was not even aware the series was out there. So I'm going to be looking to see if I can get the first 2 when I hit the store tomorrow.
They're all, they're not entirely standalone stories, but they're not standalone stories.
Okay.
So the first issue of Truth and Justice was a Vixen story. The second issue was a kind of a Superman / Bizarro Superman story.
Okay, now I'm
this one, which is Constantine. The next issue is a Red Hood / Robin story. So they're standalones.
With the connective tissue.
Yeah, in the sense that they are not the exact same characters, but they're all tied together.
Right.
Bum, bum, bum.
I now remember the Vixen one. I haven't seen the Superman one, but I remember the Vixen one.
All right. We have from Tom King,
Tom King.
Batman, Catwoman, number 5. This is 5 of 6.
Right. Black Label book. This has been a great series. This is basically jumps all over time-wise. You've got Batman dealing with both Catwoman and the Phantasm. Just a fun series, kind of an Elseworld thing. You got, Batman's had a love interest with both these characters. And of course, you throw in the Joker and Harley Quinn. This is a fun book. Yeah, but the Black Label books are usually really a lot of fun. And you got Clay Man on the art.
Right. It's Tom and Clay who are the dynamic duo right now on Batman. You've got anytime you have a Phantasm story, that's a win. Anytime you've also got a Joker story with a Phantasm story,
yeah,
you might be trying too hard, but in this case, you're not. If you're Tom King and Clayman.
Now, is this the last one of the series? Because normally these run about 5 issues, don't they?
6.
6. Okay.
There is one more, June 15th.
All righty.
So
you got the answer like right there, man. Good job.
Well, I remember talking to Tom King about this kind of before it was announced. He's going, look, I'm doing a Batman thing. You can't really say anything about it, but it's going to be 6 issues. And it's going to have the Phantasm. I'm going, please tell me you're rewriting Mask of the Phantasm. And he goes, no. And I go, I'm no longer interested. And then he started telling me what he was actually writing. I'm like, all right, I'm back in. Then we have also from DC this week. I want to say this is our last DC book this week.
I believe so, yeah.
Save the best for last. Welcome back to the show, Ram V.
Yes.
Catwoman number 30, which is our return to the Catwoman-averse. Post Future State.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You got the Riddler in this one. The Riddler's been hurt, gravely wounded, and Catwoman brings him into some less than scrupulous medics to get fixed up, just so she can get a line on what happened to Poison Ivy. And Riddler tells her, but then you got to wonder, is Riddler actually telling the truth, or is he messing with her?
Or does he ask her a riddle that she solves?
It says that he points her in the right direction, or points her in the direction.
I know the answer to the question I ask. I'm not going to say it. You got to read it.
It is the Riddler. So if he tells her straight out, that's a problem.
Right.
Yeah. And then you also got the Penguin. He's dealing with Father Valley, this guy he's hired to kill Catwoman, and finds out that may have been a bad idea. And there is an absolutely gorgeous Jenny Friesen cover on this.
Well,
book.
we're going to get to that in just a second. But remember, guys, this is Ram V with Fernando Blanco. Interiors, colors by Jordi Belair. Jordi Belair is a killer artist in her own right. So, you know the colors are going to be. You've got covers out there, and there are several covers. The regular cover, this one is Laura Allred and Joelle Jones. Then you have
great cover.
You have this guy that I'm going to put up now after building sufficient hype. That is by Jenny Friesen. That is insane.
Yeah, that is gorgeous.
Yep.
That's one of those you get slabbed and you put away for posterity.
Kinda.
Just put, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, again, Jenny Frizen on fire right now, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. She did an amazing run on Vampirella, and we used one of her covers for the first book from Dynamite Books, the novels we do. And she's, just amazing stuff.
Absolutely. So it is that time of the evening where Dan and I have to take a little break. We'll be back in just about 2 minutes with more books. We'll hit Marvel and a couple of indies in the next half hour. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Robert Vendetti, professional comic book writer, and I want you to know about the new Bad Idea comic book series, Tankers. As the world well knows, I'm what's called a method writer. That means before I begin a project, I don't just study the material, So to take a deep dive into the subject, I came to the one place on Earth where I can operate mechanized combat equipment, dig for oil, and shoot dinosaurs. XT, baby! I'm down to the tank! No oil yet? Every second of my immersive research experience guarantees that Tankers is unlike anything you've read from me before. I should know. I've read everything I've ever written. Tankers is about a crack team of mercenaries and mech suits who work for Greenleaf Oil. They get sent back in time to divert the comet to kill the dinosaurs. More dinosaurs in the past means more oil in the present. Who doesn't love that? And with a superstar art team providing breathtaking covers and interiors, Tankers is an action-fueled thrill ride of human versus dinosaur warfare that we can't wait for you to read. So go ahead, order Tankers today. I guarantee I'll be glad you did. As for me, I'll be finishing off these dinosaurs. Extinction Day.
I should really put my camera back on screen if I'm going to come on and talk to you guys, shouldn't I? Welcome back to In Stores This Week. I am Kyle. I'll be rejoined momentarily by Dan. I just want to take this opportunity and remind you guys, head over to comicshoppingexperience.com. Sign up for our mailing list. We don't send out a ton of emails. We'll be sending out more, but not a lot more here in the near future. We don't send out a ton of them, but we do let you know what's going on that way. Also, sign up to be on our game shows. We've got game shows in production. We want to give you free stuff. It's not that hard. You come on our game shows. You play the game. If you win, you get free stuff. Sign up for our game shows over there as well on comicshoppingexperience.com. We have a debate show where you don't actually have to know anything. You just got to be able to talk good. And we have a trivia show where you do have to know some stuff, but only enough to beat Brainy, which isn't that hard. So make sure you take advantage of those things over there. And then, if you could, please, no matter where you're watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, because that's still a thing, Twitter, our website, anywhere you're watching, hit the like button. Hit the share button. Guys, the experience is Reverse Fight Club. Tell everybody you know about it, because the more people who show up, the more fun we have. I wonder if Dan fell in. We'll see. But that is the future of the experience, guys. You telling us what you like, what you want to see, and you joining our things. We do have some big announcements coming right around the first of the month, so keep an eye out. And Dan is back.
I am. I had almost forgotten we were doing a show.
Yeah, I know. The Robert Vendetti, being a method writer. I played the ad where he says it.
Ah,
So
so perhaps he is gone full cyborg.
perhaps he has.
Yeah.
So do you want to hit a couple of the smaller press publishers before we hit Marvel?
Sure.
How about
Sacred Six, Christopher
Yes.
Priest. I want to say Stéphane Roux, since the last name looks French. I'm going to guess the first name is Stéphane. And Julius Ota. You got Vampirella's acting weird, and they're not going to spoil it, but something's wrong with Vampy. And her ex-girlfriend Victory is the new Draculina. He's experienced some genuine religious conversion while spying on the city of the sacred. But can Draculina hide her newfound faith from her cohorts of nefarious sisters, which includes a suddenly brutal and demonic Vampirella? So Vampy's gone all brutal and demonic. Also, we get
the Victory being the new Draculina. Like, this is one of those where if Barucci was here, I would start to grill him about whose idea was this and where are the drugs and can I have some?
That would be Christopher Priest.
Yeah, it would be Christopher Priest. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, we're just going to chalk it up to genius.
Yeah.
And I retract my statement about the drugs, even though somebody has some.
It is 420.
That's what I'm saying. No, but that's so okay. Let me ask you this, Dan.
All right.
Is there, and I'm trying to remember, is there a book that's a Draculina book? Has there ever just been one that really explores that mantle, that character? I don't think there is.
I can't off the top of my head remember.
Right. And the reason I'm asking is I feel like that's a character that's been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's always kind of been off to the side, always been a little bit tertiary or secondary at very least.
Yeah.
And
tertiary, a Panther seems to be in between.
Yeah, you've got right in that realm. Secondary, she's maybe not a big baddie, but she's around enough.
Yeah.
That would be a character that I would love to see someone take the reins on. Be like, hey, I'm gonna tell this story.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to say you should do it, but if you won't,
I wouldn't say no to it. I can give it a shot.
Right. Hey, Barucci, do it. I'm kidding. I'm not. We don't do that here much. But no, it's I like the idea that Christopher Priest is taking the Vampy story in a little bit of a different direction, and spending some more times with some lower tier Vampirella characters. Not necessarily that they're any better or like that they're worse characters. They're just characters that are not the top characters. I always like it when writers and artists do that.
Between what Christopher Priest is doing on this and on Vampy and what Tom Snigoski's doing on Vengeance of Vampirella, we are getting some of the best Vampy stories we've had in a very, very long time. And I'm not knocking any of the other writers. Nancy Collins was great, but they're taking the time to really work on the lore and the history of the character. And I think they're doing amazing jobs.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Like I said, my favorite thing is when somebody's like, okay, you want me to do a story with this big character in it? I'll do the story with the big character in it, but they're gonna be with a character that wouldn't be one you pick.
Right.
And
that's a great way to mix up a character who's been around. I mean, Vampy's been around since 1960. I want to say 9.
It's something like that. I mean, I have Eerie magazines with her in it, so yeah, it's got to be that era. Yeah,
I believe she was created in 1969. I believe they were doing their 50th anniversary 2 years ago, and there's a lot of stories out there with Vampy, and handled by different publishers. So you have a lot of lineage and history for this character that gets kind of moved around. And you've got two separate origins for the character. One is a space origin. The other is a demonic ties to Lilith origin. And there's never been a clear-cut answer to that. So I love what Priest is doing, and Snagowski over on Vengeance, which there's also a Vengeance of Vampirella that comes out this week. It's not on my list, but it's out this week too. I believe it's number 17. So again, if you're looking for some good vampire action, you got 2 books in the shops this week. So,
well, and just to throw this out there and throw it at you a little bit, Ken Hazer has a really cool. It's the E variant of this book. Just to check out, it's a really cool negative space kind of looking thing. So just check that one out. I can't pull it down right now, but just check that one out.
Also, the one that caught my eye, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but it's one of those that I've had to write, and I pronounce it by how to remember to spell it. But Jay Anacleto. Okay. So Jay Anacleto's cover for this issue is gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Yep.
From Boom, welcome back once again, Rom V.
Yep.
This is the wrong cover. I clicked on the wrong thing.
The Many Deaths of
Layla Starr from Boom Studios. So this is another, both lists. You've got Rom V and Felipe Andrade art with he also did the main cover. You've got a David Mack and Inhyuk Lee variants, but this is basically explores the fine line between living and dying, and kind of what happens when gods are no longer considered useful. So the basic story is that it starts with a girl jumping off a building, and then you cut to the god of death being called into the corporate headquarters of the gods and being told that their job has been made no longer relevant because there is a person living who is immortal. And if people are immortal, what good is the god of death? So you have this person called Layla struggling with her newfound immortality, or not struggling with immortality, her newfound mortality, because she had been the god of death, learning to interact in the world in a new way.
Two things that jumped out at me about this book. First off is that it takes place in Mumbai, which is such a unique city in the world. It's like this giant city that came out of nowhere in a sense. It's just they built it so quickly but so I'm fascinated by that, and I'd love to learn more about Mumbai, and I love the idea of it being set there. And the second thing, and this is going to be just for old people like me, the title is reminiscent of an old TV series called The Powers of Matthew Star. And that's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this. I'm like, But I have a feeling that Rom V is probably way too young to even know what that series is.
Well, I will tell you this. Rom V likes to set things in Mumbai.
Okay.
Because that's where he's from originally. Now living in London. And we've talked about the book that brought him to a lot of our attentions is a book called These Savage Shores, which is set also in Mumbai. So it's he likes to set things there because it's a city he knows.
Yeah.
But also it's a culture he knows. Indian culture is a culture that he's familiar with. So, it's my read on this, and it's funny because David Mack is doing a variant, and he did the FOC variants for the book I'm about to reference, which is American Gods.
Mm-hmm.
This is Ram V's way of looking what happens to gods when their usefulness is no longer as clear as it had once been. So I'm a big fan of Ram and his writing, and I'm a big fan of the feel of this book. So I don't know a lot about the Hindu gods.
Right.
But I made the joke on Jen's show, and so I'll make it again here. If every office has a Toby Flenderson, which god is Toby from The Office? Which is a reference to the show The Office, but also one of those things about if you look at gods slightly differently, and the gods of your mythology slightly differently, what does that do to your mythology?
Yeah. And I don't know much, but I know very little about the Hindu gods. I know very little about Mumbai, and I love reading series that take me to places and take me into areas of knowledge that I don't know. Growing up reading Thor, I walked into, I think junior high is when, or maybe it was freshman year of high school, when suddenly we were covering mythology and we got to Norse mythology, and I could rattle off a bunch of information because I grew up reading Thor comic books. I
always liked them for the same reason.
Yeah. So I am absolutely on board with this one. And also American Gods is another one that I've really loved for that. And, dancing into mythologies that I haven't had a chance to check out. Yeah.
So we'll head over to Dark Horse now for just a minute, and then we'll come back and we'll hit Marvel, or we'll start hitting Marvel before we go to our break.
Okay.
We have another book that was on both of our lists.
Kojicaro.
Kojicaro the Skinner.
Yes.
Now, are you familiar with the Kojicaro
No,
kind of mythos?
No. It's Mike Mignola is why it's on my list.
Well, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So, Kojicaro is maybe not the oldest myth that exists, but it's Romanian in origin, and it's kind of one of those. It's not exactly vampirism, but not exactly not. It's more of a modern, I would call it, mythology in that area.
Okay, you just said it's maybe the oldest myth and modern.
No, not one of the oldest.
Oh,
it's one of those. It's like when you think about Romanian mythology, you think about traditional Dracula kind of mythos. This is a little newer. This is maybe in that Slender Man kind of category.
Okay.
Where it's a newer mythos, and there are like celebrities with this last name, so who knows where it started exactly? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's from that kind of Middle European, and from best of my knowledge, it kind of arose kind of during that fall of the Soviet bloc, where the sort of mythos started, and then you add the Kojicaro name to it at some point later.
Yeah.
So, Kojicaro the Skinner is the strange and enigmatic bane of Eastern European witches, and has been dead for years. But from a bloodied French town in the throes of World War II, a plea for help carries across the winds of time. A desperate band of resistance soldiers and their white witch allies rest in the fate of the hands of Kojicaro's ghost. It's one of those things is that, like I said, my first kind of understanding of it is a more modern understanding. So maybe it's been around for longer and I'm just not from Romania.
Yeah.
I'm not from that kind of area. But Mike Mignola.
Christopher Golden, Peter Bergting.
Mike Mignola.
Yeah.
Hold on, we're going to wait another second and say Mike Mignola one more time.
He's cranking out a lot of stuff lately.
Yeah, I mean, I think the year off probably helped him a lot. He probably just didn't leave his house and wrote every scary thing.
Yeah. Well, then he drew a bunch of
scary things.
Yeah, scary things.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, check out the Kojicaro the Skinner from Dark Horse. This is one I will cop to having been fortunate enough to get a PDF preview of the first few pages.
Oh, you bastard, you, huh?
I know. Like I said, the first few pages were just enough to be like, okay, what? Like, you know, it's like somebody sets a steak in front of you and only lets you smell it. Come on, man. But let's do this. Instead of hitting Marvel right now, let's crack out a couple more indies and then take a break. How's that sound?
Okay.
A book we talked about last week, but again, small press and is having trouble getting release dates on time. This one shipped to half of the country on time last week and half of the country this week and is wildly sought after. Copies are going for $20 to $30 on the secondary market already. You Promised Me Darkness. This is the story about people who are born when Halley's Comet is orbiting the Sun or Earth or whatever it orbits is around, and they're born with special auras, and the story of the creature that's coming to try to eat their auras and someone trying to stop them. Yeah, that's really the kind of the premise of that book. Last week there were a couple of comet asteroid based books. So to have it again this week is good. Jana and the Impossible Monsters.
Second
Laura
issue.
and Chris Samney. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I remember when the first issue came out. This looks really good, and was Samney, does great stuff.
So in the first issue, you met Rainbow, who is Jana's sister. And you don't meet any impossible monsters, and you don't actually meet Jana except in flashbacks. This issue is a little more modern time, so you're getting to see some impossible monsters. You're getting to finally meet and kind of experience what's happening to Jana, and you start to answer the question, how strong is the bond of family versus the things that'll try to tear a family apart in this kind of world. So it's the Samneys.
Yeah.
That's kind of like saying Mike Mignola 5 times. It's, you can't really mess with it. One that Dan put me onto when we first started doing this show together, and I had been reading, but I went back because I realized I missed a few issues. This is Tarna.
Yep.
From
Heavy Metal.
Heavy Metal. And you're looking at Tarna number 5. After a near-death experience from the battles against the servants of Keiko, Tarna dons her new celestial armor to fight a bloody and terrible war. Can the last Tarkanian and her ally, the young woman called Shan, stop the Urkus? Look, I read the solicitation really dumb, but it's Stephanie Phillips writing Tarna.
It's Tarakian, right? The last Tarakian? You said Tarkanian.
I've always said it Tarkanian since I started reading Tarna. Taar, Tarkanian.
It just looks like Tarakian to me.
Yeah, the extra A I've just always ignored. Because
which extra A?
It's a comic book, huh?
There's a lot of extra A's in there.
That's fair. But it might be Tarakian. I'm going to keep saying it the way I've always said it. Headcanon. Headcanon. Headcanon.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to use that little delta symbol A lot when they made this character.
Everything from heavy metal right now is absolute fire. You heard it here first. You heard it here last. You're going to continue to hear it. Everything from heavy metal right now is absolute gold.
Absolutely.
Real quick, want to hit on Vietnam Horror #2, also from Behemoth Comics. We talked about Behemoth just a minute ago. A unit of American soldiers finds themselves isolated in the middle of nowhere, Vietnam, as they calculate another plan to storm a nearby mountain. Another problem arises in camp, one that might have them rethinking everything. The last issue, it was basically skeleton zombies. I don't even know what this thing is.
How do skeleton zombies work? Because they kind of need the muscles to keep everything together.
Read issue 1. Doesn't work so well, but super terrifying. But no, so I don't even know what this thing is, but Vietnam Horror was super fun if you're into that kind of historical fiction. Really messed up historical fiction. And then some stuff we can kind of scream through real quick in a hurry because I want to get us back on track, so we've got some time in the second hour. That isn't it. This is it. Bequest #2 by Tim Seeley and Freddie Williams. This is Sword and Sorcery in modern day Chicago. As the sword and sorcery singing war party tries to make themselves at home in modern Chicago, the Mad Monk Epoch Karev unleashes his beasts. Now our heroes must venture into a dank dungeon filled with unknowable horrors. Lower Wacker Drive. Guys, Lower Wacker Drive is Gotham from the Nolan Batman movies. But it's like not good Gotham. It's like the Gotham where you're about to get shanked all the time. That is real. Like, they didn't do special lighting or effects for Lower Wacker Drive. Lower Wacker Drive is terrifying. And your GPS don't work. Because it thinks you're on Upper Wacker Drive. Or Middle Wacker. There are 3. Okay. Chicago is a terrifying city for this reason alone. Chicago is a terrifying city for this reason alone. You can get lost on the same street at 3 different levels. But imagine if you are from D&D and you find yourself on this place. So that's the Bequest #2 from Aftershock Comics. There is another Aftershock book that I would like to talk about, but I do want to talk about that a little bit longer. So We'll save it for after the break.
All right. I noticed your Chicago came out of you.
Chicago.
Yeah. The Bears.
Bears. All right, guys, we'll be back in just about 2 minutes here on The Experience. For Dan, I've been Kyle. Be right back.
Do you like ghost stories? I hope so. My name is Lawrence, a husband and a father. In life, I was a professor of religious literature and history. If I was still alive, I guess I'd still be all of those things. But I'm not. I'm dead. Like I said, ghost story. Believe me, I never imagined I'd be here, helping others heal in the afterlife. So where is here? This is the scene. It's the middle place where souls must confront the traumas of their past. Here I lead souls away from their demons that haunt them. I must also defend these lost souls from others who would prey on them. To do this, I use the power of the Staff of Truth to help them break free. It isn't easy. Clearly, they need help and hope, and that's where I come in. I am a guide of souls. I'm the shepherd.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is In Stores This Week here on The Experience. I just want to remind you guys of a couple of things coming up. Tomorrow, we have What We Do in the Comic Shop. We have BCU at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Mountain, 2 p.m. Pacific. We have What We Do in the Comic Shop after that. And then we have Rupp's World, Comic Time. Excellent. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. Tomorrow night from 8 to 10 Eastern. Adjust for your specific time zone. Dan is back. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
All right.
Welcome to our low energy Tuesday night.
I have high energy. I'm just having to pump it in intravenously. Shout out Monster Energy for the case of Monster Energy that I got this week. One more book I want to talk about. We talked about an Aftershock book before the break. I want to talk about this one after. This is The Girls of Dimension 13 by Graham Nolan, who you may know as the person who is responsible for Bane.
Right.
Also by Brett Blevins, who I can't for the life of me think of why I know that name, but I know that name.
Brett Blevins did New Mutants for a while. Before he was the guy on New Mutants between Sienkiewicz and Liefeld.
Yes. He also recently did some Harley Quinn. He did Sleepwalker.
Spider-Man did a run.
Sleepwalker.
Yeah, Sleepwalker's another one.
But look, I'm going to expose a comic book trope right now. If anyone ever says you can go live in a place for free, you're in a comic book. It is not going to go well for you. Lock and Key, prime example.
There was a thing where Detroit was giving homes to writers for free.
Yeah, if that happens, you're in a comic book or you're writing a comic book about being in a comic book. That's right. If you take that, you are Harvey Picar. But this is 4 young women are brought together by a mysterious invitation to live in a creepy New York building. Because that's going to end well. They soon learn that the building houses a portal to the other 12 known dimensions. And that a malevolent creature known as the Abraxas has bound these dimensions together, enslaving them to his will. For centuries, the portal has been guarded by a gatekeeper to prevent the evil on the other side from gaining access to our dimension. Now the gatekeeper and a nightlighter is missing, and the only thing standing in the Abraxas' way is a quartet of young women with powers and abilities they don't even know they have for now.
And a dog. There appears to be a dog with them.
Yeah, that dog. So having also read this book, basically they're invited to come live here on the condition that they take care of the dog. They're reached out to either personally or by email by this mysterious person who's like, hey, I need someone to take care of my dog. I'll let you live in New York for free if you take care of my dog. Yep. and that's how it's totally The Wait by the band,
Uh-huh.
except with sci-fi, a little bit. But they're taking care of the dog, and they discover that they have these glowy hand powers.
Glowy hand powers. That's like total MCU style.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it right there on the cover. All of their hands sort of have those weird Doctor Strange / Iron Fist auras.
Yep. The one girl has 2 different colors. I wonder what that means.
Interesting.
And what's special about the dog? Is he like a Flurkin type thing where he just looks like a dog?
They don't cover that in issue 1. But it's, Graham Nolan is an Inkpot Award winner. And illustrated by an Emmy Award winning artist, Brett Blevins, who did Superman the Animated Series and Justice League. The Girls of Dimension 13 is a fantasy tale of discovery and empowerment, proving that sometimes all you need is a little help from your friends. I get by with a little help from my friend.
The drunk version?
No, that is the Latent Life Joe Cocker version, which is when I got to see him live. Okay. Okay. So, do you want to go to Marvel now, or should we just finish knocking off the indies?
Let's knock off the indies.
All right. So, I have on my list the book I showed first from Black Mass Studios, Alice in Leatherland.
I saw the cover of this one, and I didn't look it up, but Alice in Leatherland sounds like something that might not fit the cover. The cover looks kind of all ages family friendly. Leatherland sounds like something different.
It's from Black Mask. It's not family friendly.
Okay, hit it. Go for it.
Alice is the writer. She writes children's books, and fairy tale stories.
Uh-huh.
And she kind of lives in that world, right? Like everything is fairies and peaches and cream, until her real life girlfriend. She finds her real life girlfriend cheating on her, and now, and charmingly, she's defiant, she's angry, she's ready. She leaves her small town and leaps into a new adventure to seek love for and find herself in the fast-paced life of San Francisco. There, her concept of pure magical love will be completely overturned. Her biggest challenge won't be reckoning with other people's sexual drive. It's getting a grip on her own.
Yeah, I'm starting to notice some of the paraphernalia in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. From your new, this is direct from the solicitation. I'm going to read it.
Okay.
From your new favorite writer and artist team, Iolanda Zanferadino and Eliza Ramboli, Alice in Leatherland is a comedy about sex, and so inevitably about every other aspect of life too. As Iolanda and Elisa describe the book, sex is recounted as a way to investigate our relationship with ourselves and others, with our bodies and our place in the world. Sexual pleasure as self-affirmation and growth. There is room for love too, and bravery, and for many good laughs that never hurts. So here's why I'm interested in this book. 1, new creative team.
Yes.
2, Black Mask Studios doesn't publish anything that isn't going to make you incredibly uncomfortable.
Okay.
Every one of their books that they've ever published has been, how do I put this? Culturally awakening. They're always trying to tell you something about the real world that maybe you've not seen. One of the biggest books from them was a book called Black, which is about what would the world look like if only people who get superpowers were black. Now they're putting out the other side of that story called White, which is actually a book we're going to talk about here in a minute. They only put out books. They put out a book that I love called Young Terrorists, which is
Okay.
about, being militant and young at the same time, and why so many young people are often have what are considered by older generations militant ideals, even if they don't seem all that radical
Yeah.
to the younger generation. So this is their first foray, I would say, into kind of the realm of sexual revolution and sexual proclivities. A lot of times it's racial and cultural and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But I like the idea of taking someone who's pretty naive and pretty, sheltered, and throwing them into a world that's very not that, and following them as they find their way. So that's Alice in Leatherland. I mean, I get from the look on your face, maybe not one that's going on Dan's list.
No, actually, I will probably take a look at it, at least in the shop. It's probably more on my list after hearing about it.
Yeah, I buy everything Black Mask puts out, because in the end they're putting out books that I don't believe could find publication other places. As many great publishers as I know and work with, as many great publishers as there are, you always need that renegade.
Yeah.
And Black Mask is certainly that. They also have this book. This is White from Black Mask. White number 2. President Mann continues to position his son Thaddeus's first son, Armor, as a program to countermeasure the growing empowered black population. Juncture deploys King Squad to spy on them at a celebrity gala, but an overzealous ex crashes the party, costing the team dearly. So, the deal is with this, and this is from the same Kari Randolph that did the cover, who is doing Excellence right now at Image. Jamal Eagle on art, and Kawanza Osejifo. I have to ask my buddy Imani how to say that. Imani knows the people who write this book. He's good friends with all of them. But they wrote Black, which is a story of what happens in America when the only people who can get superpowers are black. And how do people's ingrained racial stereotypes and long histories of cultural oppression and violence and things like that get turned on their head when all of a sudden they are the subject class to these superheroes. And this is the second half. This is the story of what happens, when the other side of the coin starts to react and come at them.
Interesting.
Something worth noting, this book is limited to 2,500.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the solicitation list for this week either.
Really limited print runs. So just be aware that this is a book that is out this week. You may have to ask your store to special order. It's technically released today. So if you're looking at Wednesday releases, it was released on 4/20.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, technically released today. So if you're just looking at Wednesday releases, that's why you didn't see it. But it's worth checking out, especially if you've read Black, or you can get your hands on a Black trade, and then White number 1. But they are ridiculously hard to come by. Other indies we have this week: Unicorn number 1 from Scout Comics. This is their Scoot imprint. This is their all ages imprint, which we're turning a real hard left turn from White and from Alice in Leatherland to an actual all ages imprint called Unicorn. But May Everhart inherits an old horse from her long lost mother, only to discover the strange nub on the horse's forehead, hidden beneath a fly bonnet. Searching for answers, May explores her mom's abandoned veterinary office and finds a secret book her mother hid just for her. It's titled Unicorn Guide. Join May and Percy on a journey of healing in Unicorn. Enjoy the first issue of this non-stop title, followed by the entire story collected soon after in one volume. So the way non-stop titles work, issue number 1 comes out, then the trade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a story about a little girl whose mom gives her a unicorn and a guidebook for how to use it. So unicorns are real in this book. I prefer the DC version of unicorns, which is that unicorns are assholes, but still a good book for kids.
I suddenly want the band Korn to do a fantasy themed album called Unicorn with that spelling.
It'd be a single. Uni.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll see ourselves out.
Yeah. Thanks, folks. See you next week.
From maybe the smallest publisher on the list this week, at least for me. No, it's definitely the smallest publisher on the list, because, well, I know what you've got left on your list. This is from Bliss on Tap Publishing.
That would be, yeah.
This is Welcome to Los Angeles. Pardon me. I had to sneeze.
I would have happily taken over there, but I don't know this book, so.
Right, no, that's fair. So this is basically the story. It's a one-shot. From Bliss on Tap. A young, sort of privileged suburban teen gets, without going too deeply into it, assaulted in a pretty horrific fashion. And the cops don't seem to be doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. So a punk rock bouncer named Doyle starts investigating on behalf of the grieving family, ultimately exposing a complex multi-billion-dollar real estate investment scheme tied to the 1984 Olympics, whose greedy tentacles reach deep into LA City Hall. A vivid and unquestioningly authentic portrayal of LA's vibrant and violent 1980s, Los Angeles brings to life the punk music, gangs, and corrupt officials, and in doing so echoes the themes of race and politics very much alive and unresolved in 2021. So, this is kind of set in the what I like to call the Motley Crue era of LA, when everything was just right on that razor thin edge between legal and illegal. When everybody had an 8-ball in their pocket, and knew a guy who knew a guy.
Okay. Sorry.
But,
I actually being an LA native and being in LA in that stereotype. No. But
it was common in the punk scene in LA at the time. Like, I know that for sure. It wasn't necessarily all of LA not all of LA was like that.
It wasn't
not
all of
many
LA.
places like that.
And there was cases like that. There was things like that, but it wasn't as prevalent as movie. It's the equivalent of the Sopranos in New Jersey.
Right.
Not everyone in New Jersey is a gangster.
Oh, absolutely. But one of the things that was part of that scene, the hair metal, punk rock, early grunge part of LA there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of guns, there was a lot of drugs, there was a lot of unsavory characters involved in a lot of things. If you want to know more about that, I would suggest reading anything or listening to any interview with Perry Farrell. Because he was in that scene pretty deep.
Yeah, but you're also talking about somebody in that scene, like
yeah.
When you're talking to somebody who's in a band and that's their entire life, but it's when you look at it from an outside point of other people in LA who would dance in and out of that type of life.
Right.
It's very different. It's more of
sure.
a, yeah. It's like, yeah,
Right,
it
but
was
this is-
going on, but it was going on in a very small faction.
Oh yeah, this is definitely talking about a microcosm. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing here that says this isn't. I mean, it goes specifically into say punk music, gangs, and the corrupt officials. Not every official in LA in the 80s was corrupt.
Right.
Not all the gangs were in it for the same reason, and not every punk band was the same.
No.
But this is a certain look at that, and it really is relating to how little things in that same microcosm have changed to this day. And even when I was in the area, when I was part of that scene, very little had changed from the 80s to the early to mid 2000s. I imagine very little has changed since I left. So it's a look at a very specific part of a very specific world and relating it back to things that are still happening today.
No.
So we have left on the list. I'm going to pop. Nope, that's a Marvel book. Okay. Then we have one non-Marvel book left on the list. And that is from Zenoscope.
Yep.
Let me click the right things here. This is it Grim Spotlight number 2?
Grim Spotlight, yeah. Mystere Voodoo Dawn.
Where'd it go? Just moved on me. There it is.
Yeah. Great cover. But this is Joe Bruscia and Igor Vittorino. And this is basically spotlighting on the character of Mystere, who is basically a necromancer. She grew up an orphan, a victim, been a lover, just had a pretty wild life. And but she's always been this, Mary Medina is her real name. And she's now residing in downtown New Orleans and is in charge, kind of finally taking charge of her life for the first time. And things are going well, finally. Things are starting to move forward until, new threats start to come in, because that's usually what happens. And especially when you're the local necromancer,
Right. I mean, if that's your job.
Yeah. I mean, you're reanimating the dead as a profession, which, I mean, it probably looks great on a business card, Mary Medina, necromancer. That's going to get some attention, but that's going to bring a lot of problems your way.
True. I mean, I think I'm going to get business cards made where I call myself a necromancer.
Mm-hmm. I was going to get ones that say professional corpse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I had a thing where I wanted to be a dead body on all TV shows. Just wanted to show up as a dead body.
Okay. I actually have business cards that say doer of things.
Nice.
That were a joke that somebody got me for Christmas one year. But I love them. But no, the thing about this book that really attracts me is the kind of the New Orleans ties that this that Grim Spotlight has had. The first issue had it. This issue had it. The voodoo and the general relation that city has. And see, this is just what we talked about with LA, is that, people have a certain stereotype of a city. I'm not trying to play into that stereotype necessarily. I'm talking about things that I know from having been there.
Right.
New Orleans has rich ties and deep ties in certain parts of the city to voodoo, to Creole culture, to ghosts and spirits and necromancy and all of these things. So for Joe Bruscia, who is really good at writing ghost stories, to tell a story set in a place where ghost stories are currency, is a great fit.
Yeah. And the difference between, you look at certain stereotypes, they're very negative stereotypes. New Orleans loves this kind of, or at least it appears to love this kind of stereotype.
certain
know.
certain well, and I will say this, it's like the people who, like myself, who love that stereotype of LA because it draws them back to a time in their lives. Mine being my misspent youth in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
New Orleans, there are always going to be factions that would like to forget Marie Laveau.
Yeah.
Would like to forget some of these stories, but then
But
there's
a lot of culture is celebrated too with like Mardi Gras and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. One of the biggest tourism industries in New Orleans when I was there were people who go there just to go to places that are haunted. And the number of people who, you can ask them and they'll show you the parlor trick they're using to make their place haunted. Like, you'd be like, really? People fall for this? And then you go, you know what? That's still super fun. I don't even care.
Yeah. They fall for it because they want to fall for it. You go to New Orleans because you want that.
Right. I mean, there are parts of that story. There are parts of the New Orleans, culture that for me will always be tied to some of the most fun times in my life, but some of the most terrifying times in my life because I wanted to be terrified.
Yeah.
So, don't miss Joe Brucia telling a terrifying story about a terrifying place.
Yep. They do like to go. There's been a few of their series that have ended up down in New Orleans. There was Spirit Hunters as well that headed down there. I jumped in on a book and the episode took us down there. We jumped in on one of the issues. They love setting things in New Orleans.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break here on The Experience, and we're going to come back and we're going to hit the Marvel books. And if time permits, trades, because there are some big trades out this week that I would like to talk about. And I know one for sure that Dan would like to talk about.
That's right.
So
I have
we'll
one.
Be back. Yeah, we will be back very shortly in approximately, we'll call it a minute and a half. We'll be back.
We know this has been a difficult time for you. We know you are scared. Here at Regenerist Tech we have developed a safe and effective solution to our worldwide problem. Trust Regenerist. We give you back your life.
Welcome back to The Experience. I'm Kyle. Dan will rejoin us in just a second. What I want to remind you guys about Fridays. Fridays here on the Experience are unlike any other day on the Experience. We have so much cosplay with Cheryl Sloboda Whitehead, where she teaches you how to be better at cosplay and teaches you tips and tricks and shows you tools that will help you with your cosplay. If you've ever been to a convention and seen somebody doing cosplay triage, helping people fix their cosplays once they're broken, that's Cheryl. So she's here on Wednesdays. We have virtual signings with Henri Kompen, creator of Isun Shin and Marks. Sits down with other independent creators to talk about their books, and they will sign them for you live on camera. And then you have an interview with me. Nothing wrong with that, but you have an interview with me followed by Friday Night Live from Comics Unlimited in beautiful, tiny Cleveland, Tennessee, just outside Chattanooga, with Nancy McCann, who has 30 plus years of experience in the industry. If anybody ever worked at Image, she has met them. That's her claim to fame. So here's Dan, and we're going to talk about the Marvel books.
Yep. So we have we have people who sign live on the air.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we can get them to sign dead on the air, that could bring in a lot more viewers.
I didn't say alive. I said live.
Okay.
Meaning not pre-recorded.
Yes. Got it.
But zombies, man. Zombies.
Right. I'm always trying to think of ways to bring, more viewers in.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we need to have a conversation about one of those things. So where do you want to start with the Marvel books? Where would you like to begin the Marvel madness this week?
Wow. We got lots of fun ones this week. Why don't we start off with the Mighty Valkyrie? Since Jane Foster is going to be talked about a lot with the upcoming Thor Ragnarok, Thor Love and Thunder, and her turn as Thor. But now Jane is a Valkyrie and believed she was the last one left until the whole fight with Null, the King in Black, proved out there was more. Yeah. But now the Valkyries kind of need to redefine their role in the world, and Asgard's not going to make it easy for them. So, and of course, she's got to deal with Loki and a beast that's stalking the souls of Midgard. I just like that sound. But she's got to deal with her ancient coworkers and a promise to a woman she loved. Now it's time to follow through. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting book. It's Jason Aaron. It's going to try this name, Torun Grönbeck.
That sounds right.
And Mattia de Elise.
Yeah.
I'd like to have pronunciation guides for these. I really would.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to have pronunciation guides for most words.
True.
But,
we're talking one of the oldest characters in Marvel. I mean, Jane Foster goes back to the very first episode of Thor, or first issue back in Journey into Mystery. And they're finding new ways to bring this character forward. They turned her into Thor for a long time. People loved it. And now she's Valkyrie. This should be a fun series. Should be, and should be really good. Jason Aaron does such a great job with these characters, and looking forward to seeing what he's got in store for this.
Absolutely. I will point out that there's a Scotty Young cover that is very funny. If you were ever a child or no children. But,
I saw a child once,
Right. If you have any kind of child relations, relatives, people like, the whole gimme. It's mine. Give it to me kind of thing about Stormbreaker. So it's very funny. Check that out as well.
Okay. So, another number one we got is Way of X.
Another X-Men book.
Another X-Men. But a Simon Spurrier and Bob Quinn book. I like Bob Quinn's art a lot. Plus, it's Nightcrawler. It's Nightcrawler, who's probably one of the best X-Men. Mutant kind has built a new Eden, but there are serpents in the garden, like there always is. Some mutants struggle to fit in, some mutants turn to violence and death, and the children whisper of a patchwork man, like Frankenstein's monster, singing in their hearts. Only one mutant senses the looming shadows. Snared by questions of death, law, and love, only Nightcrawler can fight for the soul of Krakoa. Only he and the curious crew he assembles can help mutants defeat their inner darkness and find a new way to live. So this is the Marvel equivalent of This Is the Way. It's the Way of X. And it's Nightcrawler kind of finding a new way for mutants to exist and see what's going on with Krakoa, because there seems to be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, you got in this book, you've got just so many characters that some of them you haven't seen in forever. And some of them have been really intricate parts of this Jonathan Hickman X-Men universe. You've got guys like Blob that just don't show up as often as you'd like. And then you've got people like Legion and Marvel Girl and Mystique and Storm that have been, all the while that Hickman has been writing X-Men, either hinted at or directly been involved. So it's all starting to come together as Hickman continues to direct the X-Men universe by letting one of my favorites of all time, Cy Spurrier, write it. So this is I will say this. I'm not being facetious. This is the first time an X-Men book has been on my list since the beginning of House of X. And I probably won't read them all until the whole story ends, like I've been doing with the X-Men books. I've been, buying trades. I will probably buy this as single issues and then read it all at one time.
Cool.
So, very excited for Way of X.
Yeah. All right, where do you want to go next?
Let's go to Eternals number 4.
Eternals, guys. The movie's coming. The Eternals is going to be a big movie for Marvel. They're putting a lot of effort. This is amazing director, huge cast, and this is probably going to be the movie that is going to set up Phase 4 more than anything else, and with the direction of Marvel. So having an understanding of the Eternals going into it, that's good, and this is where you get it from. This is the type of thing. This is at number 4. It's Kieran Gillian, Assad Ribic. The hunt for the Eternals traitor continues, and there's 100 Eternals. That means there's 100 suspects. Well, less now that people are dying, but surely it's everybody thinks it's Druig. And it's not Druig. They're telling us in the solicitation, it's not Druig. So the one person everybody assumes is the killer it's not. So
except that it probably is. Like I'm willing to bet the solicitations even will work.
You think Druig wrote the solicitation to cover himself?
He is the schemer.
True. But if it is him, it's too obvious.
It is Marvel. No, like I said, the thing about the Eternals is everything is the movie, right? Everything coming up is the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's what we care about. Is the movie. The Eternals, guys, are some of the oldest characters in the Marvel universe. Like, let's not mess with this. These guys have been around a long time. So when we talk about the Eternals, we talk about characters that are oftentimes on the same plane as people like Ego the Living Planet and the Collector and these
Descendants of the Celestials, yeah.
Right. So, when you think about it, you have to think about the level at which these characters play. They don't goof around because, well, That'll be a waste of their energy.
Right.
So I love Esad Ribick's art, which is the main reason I started picking the book up. I'm continuing to read it because Kieran Gillen's great. But it's everything we're doing, guys, is setting us up for the movie. Every move is setting you up for understanding the movie, and the movie is going to be tough to understand. Like, I don't want there to be any illusions about the Eternals being able to be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. It's not.
It super isn't. And the way you could tell that is they cast Kumail Nanjiani, who is the least superhero-y guy out there, and then paid a ton of money for him to get absolutely jacked to be a superhero-y guy.
Yeah.
It's these characters have a ton of depth and dimension to them that you might not always see in a Marvel film. So having a good, strong understanding of the characters by reading this book or any of the Eternals runs really is going to serve you well going into the film.
Yep. As would if you bring up Black Knight. Because Black Knight's in the movie. Well,
Black Knight, Curse
Dane
of
Whitman
Ebony
in the movie.
Blade.
Another Simon Spurrier book with Sergio Davila. And this one, Dane Whitman wields the magical ebony blade as the Black Knight. A new enemy leaves a murderous trail as they hunt down magical artifacts tied to the Black Knight's origin and to the dark truth behind King Arthur's court and Camelot itself. So if you're a fan of Camelot and stuff like that, we were talking about myths and stuff. That's another great myth in a way, the King Arthur stories, Arthurian legends. This also ties into Elsa Bloodstone, who comes showing up at Dane's door. So if Dane's going to stop the coming death and destruction, he must face the secrets of his own past, as well as shocking new revelations about the Black Knight's entire history. Dane has only just begun to realize the Ebony Blade's true potential and power. Now, Dane Whitman's been a character for a long time. He wasn't the first Black Knight in comic books. There was another one that was a villain for Iron Man first, and then he's passed the lineage down to Dane Whitman. The Ebony Blade is cursed. If you actually kill somebody with it, you get blood on it, then you start becoming where you want to kill. So he's got a weapon that if he really uses it, it's cursed. And now they're really diving deeper and deeper into this character's backstory, and it's a really good read. This is a character that they cast Kit Harington to play him in the film. So even though he's just Dane Whitman in the Eternals movie, they've got big plans for this character. And this is a guy who even at one point led the Avengers in the comics. So
I just want to make, tis only a flesh wound. Black Knight jokes.
Yes.
This character, every move Marvel has been making for the last 2 months has been about, hey guys, Black Knight's going to be important. Hey guys, look at the Black Knight.
Yep.
Think maybe it's time to start listening?
Yeah. Plus, they seem to be trying to get the entire cast of Game of Thrones into the MCU.
Well, they just announced Emilia Clarke was going to be a Skrull. Well, I announced that she was going to be a Skrull. They haven't announced what she's actually going to be. But I believe she's going to be the Queen of the Skrulls or Mother of the Skrulls. That she was the Mother of Dragons, even though I've still not seen that show.
Jessica Drew. She could be Spider-Woman.
No, she's a Skrull.
In Secret Invasion, Jessica Drew was the main Skrull, was the Queen of the Skrulls.
Yeah, but they're already doing a Jessica Drew thing.
Are they?
Oh. Don't make me go back and reread Secret Invasion, Dan.
Oh, that would be so horrible for you.
Oh, it's not like I don't have 8 other things I gotta read.
But they could introduce her here as the scroll version, and then if we get certain characters back afterwards, then they could do a Jessica Drew movie with her, a Spider-Woman movie with her.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah,
I hate that when you do that to me.
I know. That's why I like it.
All right. So we have another number 1 from Marvel, and it's something that they've been building towards in variant cover release for a few weeks now. And I just love the beginning of the solicitation. Who run the world? You already know. The women of Marvel, which is clear because, you know, one of them is Thor, one of them is Daredevil right now.
Yeah.
You know, just throwing that out there. The women of Marvel with an extravaganza of extraordinary talent. Just to read off the creators, they're all women. Including one that I didn't think was a woman, but totally is. So you'll learn some things. Sophie Campbell, Natasha Alterici, Ian Toole, Nadia Shamas, Elsa Sujinson. As writers, you've got art from Eleonora Carolini, Joanna Eastep, Kai Zamana, Skylar Patridge. Covers by Sarah Pichelli, Amanda Connor, Stephanie Hans, Sarah Mayer, Peach Momoko, Ji Hyung Lee, and Maria Wolf. Like, they got variants on top of variants on top of variants. They got writers on top of writers on top of writers. They got artists on top of artists on top of artists.
And you got an introduction by Louise Simonson.
The queen of the Marvel writers.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I was talking to Danny Fingeroff, and he's like, you know, I started off working with this woman called Louise Jones. And he starts talking about it, and I'm going, that's Louise Simonson. And he goes, yeah, but she wasn't married yet.
Yeah.
It was just wild. But yeah, so this is a story, I guess, about, is it in, I don't know a ton about this, Dan.
It's an anthology hitting a lot of different characters. There's a She-Hulk story in it by Nadia Shamas. There's a Captain Peggy Carter story by Elsa. Wow, that is a tough name, isn't it?
Sujinson.
There's a Morrow story by Sophie Campbell. Video game writer Ann Toole is doing some stuff, making her Marvel debut. It's a lot of different stories, but yeah, it's all female focused. It's female characters, female creative team. It's women of Marvel.
Yep. All right. Check this one out, like, especially because you've seen, you know, the women have been leading the Marvel universe now for a minute. You know, right on the cover, you've got Elektra, who is Daredevil. You've got Valkyrie. You've got She-Hulk. You've got Storm. Like the people who lead.
That's Gamora.
Is that Gamora?
Pretty sure that's Gamora.
Okay.
Just make the cover go away.
Zoom in. I'm trying to zoom in on it, and I did it wrong.
They have She-Hulk much more muscular now.
Okay. Gamora, does it make a difference? She runs things. But I'm taking the cover away because we do need to keep moving. We're running short on time here.
Okay.
And we still have some trades to talk about.
Yes.
Including this guy
Yeah.
which I was shocked is just now coming out, and I was kind of shocked at the formatting. Look, we don't often talk about formatting on here, and Dan's looking at me funny.
No, I'm curious what shocked you.
The fact that they actually did it as a hardcover, not a paperback.
Yeah.
A lot of times when Marvel does these omnibuses, they're paperbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But to do it as a hardcover, almost as a library edition, is awesome.
Well, it could be because they think something really important is going to be coming up with the Thunderbolt soon, and that people are going to automatically want this. And if the hardback is the only version, then they'll run out and get it.
Mm-hmm. Even if it does cost $125.
Yes. Because how important if suddenly the MCU is all about Thunderbolts?
It's true. But let me, Dan, why don't you tell people about this run on the Thunderbolts while I figure out exactly how many issues you're getting.
Okay. This is huge. This is the works from Kurt Busiek, Roger Stern, Peter David, George Perez, and so many more. And this was kind of their version of Suicide Squad. When the Avengers and Fantastic Four fall, new heroes emerge, protect the Marvel Universe. It's Citizen V, Meteorite, Songbird, Atlas, Techno, and Mach 1. Well, we know that they're actually Baron Zemo is Citizen V, and Techno is the Fixer, I believe. I mean, it's all these villainous characters, and it's the Masters of Evil being heroes, and it's led into a great team of characters that have gone on to be led by characters like Winter Soldier was a leader for a while. U.S. Agent was part of them. So it's a fascinating series, and this is the first of the big omnibuses collecting all this together.
You're getting at least 40 issues, at least, and probably more. But here's the other thing, right? Let me read off the full list of the people in this book, and stop me when we get to one who isn't, if there was a comic book Hall of Fame, who isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. You ready?
Okay.
Peter David, Joe Casey, John Ostrander, Kurt Busiek, Carl Kessel, Roger Stern, and Barbara Kessel.
Mm-hmm.
On art, Mike Deodato, George Perez, Pascal Ferry, Steve Epting, Leonardo Menko, Ron Frenz, Sal Buscema, and then penciler is Jeff Johnson, and Mark Bagley did the cover, the variant, and penciled a lot of it.
The only name on that list that is not for sure locked for the Comic Book Hall of Fame is Joe Casey because he juices.
I was gonna say because he's young and still in the game. He hasn't been retired long enough.
No, I've known Joe for years. He used to play at the Troubadour with his band, and I'd go and watch him. So
yeah, no, I love Joe, but it's like Joe is the one who's like, you have to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It has to be 20 years since your first record came out.
Yeah.
Joe Casey's not quite there.
Right.
Even though he is there, but you know what I mean. He's still the young gun. So, I mean, guys, every bit of this is worth the price point. It's a high price point.
Yes.
Not saying that it's not, but you're getting Thunderbolts 0 through 33, which I think gets you to 45. Thunderbolts 0 through 33. Thunderbolts Annual 1997. Thunderbolts Distant Rumblings -1. Incredible Hulk 449. Spider-Man Team Up #7. Heroes for Hire #7. Captain America and Citizen B Annual 1998. Avengers 12, and material from Tales of the Marvel Universe #1.
Yeah, and keep in mind, there has been rumors of the Thunderbolts being part of the MCU coming up, that we're slowly building up to it. And I've kind of thought that we're like, look, we don't have any proof of it. We don't have any proof of it. And then the most recent episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Baron Zemo is taken to the Raft, which is the floating prison or the underwater prison, depending on whether it's up or down, run by General Thunderbolt Ross. So you've put Baron Zemo in the prison that's run by Ross, and it's like, all right, we're getting a lot closer to the Thunderbolts now.
I had to take my headphone out. Are you done?
Yep.
Okay.
Are you still not caught up?
I started watching episode 2
Okay.
and decided to stop and rewatch all of the Captain America movies.
Not a bad call.
And so I'm through Captain America: The First Avenger now. It takes me about 2 nights to watch a movie because I watch when I get home from work until I fall asleep on the couch, and then I start over from the last thing I can remember.
So opening credits every night.
No, I got to the first night I got to kind of the big montage scene with Cap and Bucky in the first movie.
Yes.
So I've got to watch, so I had to pick up from there on.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight I'm going to start the movie that soured me to a great many future films, Captain America: Civil War.
Because it's so good. Oh, no, I know why. Never mind. Yes.
So.
Yes.
But I will say this is, and I'll take the cover down for a minute while we talk about this, because we only have a couple minutes left, or about a minute left. On watching Captain America: The First Avenger, I watched it the first time. I remember liking it the first time, then not liking it. Then having rewatched it again, I like it again. So I'm willing to give Civil War the same treatment, is to watch it as though it's a new, clean.
What if instead we just call it Captain America 2?
Electric Boogaloo?
Yes, I was going to go there, but I didn't know. But yeah, Captain America 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Back in the Habit?
Sure.
The sequel?
Uh-huh.
I can name other number 2s. Hold on.
Drop the subtitle.
Again, it's that has been my hang up for a long time, but I'm willing to go at it again with a new kind of.
Oh wait, 2 is Winter Soldier, not Civil War, anyway.
Oh yeah, you're right. Winter Soldier is next, and then Civil War.
Yeah.
So, anyhow,
honestly,
a couple trades.
Oh, go ahead.
A couple trades I want to mention. You have Love Sickness by Junji Ito, which is a manga, but it's his prose. So it's like a light novel of Junji Ito scary stories, prose stories, less art than normal. Just be aware that that's going to be amazing. And from Boom Studios, Wind, Book 1, The Flight of the Prince. Remember, guys, this is one that was dropped mid-pandemic, direct to retailers from them. It set all kinds of records and really kind of bailed out a bunch of people when they needed it. So check that one out. We're out of time.
No, we have so much more to talk about.
Yeah. So we will see you guys next week here on The Experience on In Stores This Week. For Dan, I will continue to be Kyle. And we will see everybody later. Bye, guys.